Do you share your thoughts only when you feel or think that they are meaningful to add? For a prolonged time, I did not share any of my thoughts until I felt like they're worth sharing or probably carry some weight or maybe meaningful or they're finished. I'm not talking about casually saying whatever comes to your mind. Like, let's say you're talking to someone and you just don't like them. And you are internally screaming and you feel like, when are they gonna leave? But I'm not talking about telling them immediately, like, just leave. As someone born as the eldest daughter of an Asian family, I was already under this condition of working hard and setting an example for the new ones that are gonna come into our family. I don't know, maybe like 10 years later, 1 year later, whatever. I'm talking about siblings. So I had the pressure of that. I was relatively a high achiever, I would say. I was a fast learner, so the people that took care of me, aka my parents, had high expectations of me. I had to do well at most of the things that I wanted to do. And did well, at least I think I did. So the expectation bar was raised, and what happened was I did not dislike it. I definitely loved it. I loved performing. I loved talking, expressing, working on something creative and showing it to people that I liked or that I loved or I knew that would appreciate my work. Initially in my life, I never did anything for external validation. The applause worked as just a reward for me. If somebody did not clap for me, it did not matter 1 ounce because I loved the experience. As I kept growing up, my achievement scores kept getting up academically or creatively or in any other aspect. As a teenager, I developed the idea that my work should speak for itself. So I wouldn't call it as a vanity, but like I had this confidence. It takes a lot of energy to talk, or always be active. And as you keep growing up, your pressure for your academic pressure, social pressure, everything keeps adding up as well. So I thought that maybe preserving my energy would be the best and let my success make the noise. And honestly it did for a long time, like up until high school it did. And since I was just in the same pool as everybody else, my performances or works just got discovered early on. I didn't have to do anything, so it worked. But when I entered the university, a lot of things changed. Social circles changed. A lot of different people from all over the country came to this place. Nobody knows you, and you gotta perform when you are in an entirely new environment, right? And since we spent a long time in our high school or in school, everybody already knew who you were, so it was not that hard. Having lived in that prolonged time period and not having to talk about my work, not having to market what I do, it became a habit. I continued this into my university life as well. And when I was in my uni, I mean, I still am. First 2 years of my uni life was entirely, what would I say? I was leading my life according to the idea of getting discovered through my success. Honestly speaking, it was hard because, like, I was already into a state of stagnation. That is mental stagnation. I think that this was also reinforced by the fear of being perceived. Not that I cared a lot about it, not to the point of dying. I mean, my life did not depend on it. I was not hyper fixated at that. But it did affect my ways of life. And I had this constant fear of, like, I think we all have it. And so to some extent, we want to have a low profile, maybe reserved, very selective. We probably think that we are above the need for attention. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with doing that. On the hindsight, it messes up with your idea of yourself. It slowly pushes the narrative into your subconscious that you don't need to perform. Since you do not have consistent proof of performance or sharing your thoughts, your work, your ideas out there, your works just simply just don't get evaluated, or challenged, you become intellectually stagnant, right? So you slowly start to make yourself believe or try to make yourself feel comfortable with the fact that it's all right. You are just doing well. You are just selective. You're someone with better taste, something like that, you know? But honestly, on the hindsight, it just destroys your self confidence because you do not have enough evidence to back up your self. You slowly start to develop lower agency. And I'm not saying it's applicable for everyone. No, there are people who have this amazing self check routine or whatever you may call it. They're doing fine, balancing both. But we're human beings, right? For a prolonged time, if we just try to live in the background, this severely messes up with our head. And competence and confidence, both are two different concepts. You may be competent enough due to not having the proof of done work. Your confidence can definitely be messed up. What I'm trying to tell you is that I've seen it happen to myself, few people around me with whom I deeply connect, and I understand, and I know that there are really hardworking people, put a lot of effort into life, thoughtful, and really intelligent, but they have also fell into this trap. I feel like us Asian kids, whether you're South Asian, East Asian, any kind of Asian, we were culturally conditioned to perform for a crowd. Since we have been giving this rule book since our childhood, it has been like really inscribed in our internal monologue to perform that way. This also played an important role in behaving the way we behave, and no one really tells you like how much it can affect your future life. When I know something about a particular topic, I immediately think that this is such a basic knowledge. Everyone must know it already. Why must I talk about it? Why must I share? I think this cognitive bias also is somewhat related to the fear of perception. And I feel like this fear of being perceived is affecting our life in a really bad ways than we realize. The more we fear being perceived a certain way, the slower our identity formation becomes. We just perform for people, for an audience, and our own behavior, who we are, how do we react in certain situations or behave in certain situations, everything stays unexplored. It gets really late to discover ourselves. And this is something that I've personally have experienced, and that's forming connections. I know that forming connections requires some sort of vulnerability, which I suck at. What do you mean I gotta be talking to someone about how I feel? Like, what? No. It was really hard for me to be able to open up to someone and talk about my true intentions or feelings. One thing I am really ashamed about myself, and that is like, I have never in my life for once talked openly about something until or unless it was about something very academic or probably a movie or anything, something cultural, things like that. Talking about myself, how I felt extremely invasive. So it's hard. I know it's hard for everybody. But if you do not talk to people and share how you feel, how are you expecting to like form any kind of bonding? And I'm guilty. It's hard for me to like form deeper connections. And I feel like the other person will genuinely don't understand me from where I'm talking about. So it's a problem. I know that. And I'm trying to fix it as I'm entering my mid 20s. Are you shocked? I have a lot to reflect on. I'm trying to navigate my adulthood in ways, and honestly, it sucks. But you gotta do it till the day you die, anyways. So, yeah, I'm doing what I can. But being seen by people, it's really intimidating to me. It was, honestly, not now, because, whoa, here I am. And as a result of my this kind of pathetic behavior, I kind of lost a lot of opportunities which could have come my way. It stinks, you know. And the moment I realized my age is getting a lot serious these days, and I only got one life, I decided to do whatever the hell I want to do, just like my early life. I'm just focusing on satisfying my id right now. If you don't know what it is, Google it. I'm not talking hedonism though. I don't believe that pleasure should be the only goal of life. No. I like experiencing shit stuff as well, but not in a self-destructive way though. I have had my fair share of experiencing those, so I know how to not fall into the trap. The cost of, disappearing is really high, and you cannot afford to do it. Being born in the era of social media, I don't want to share anything like performatively, but definitely authentically, so that someone that has that kind of soul or experiencing the same things as me can get to know me or get connected to me. It's 3 a.m. in the morning, and it was just the time for me to get a little philosophical. What I was trying to tell you is that, like, live a little. Why would you just postpone your life and rob yourself of your own life? Don't do that. Share your thoughts. Work. Tell me how you think or you feel. I like listening. Stop treating this perception as a crisis and just treat it as a tax you pay for your participation in the world.